Here's a harsh truth. Most people don't fail because they aim too high and miss. They fail because they aim too low and hit. They trade potential for comfort. They chase paychecks instead of principles. And they spend a lifetime working hard for money they never learned to control. But wealth, real wealth, is not a stroke of luck. It is not an inheritance. It is built brick by brick, thought by thought, habit by habit. You don't just get wealthy, you become the kind of person who attracts wealth, creates it, and multiplies it. Today, we're not just talking about money. We're talking about the mindset that builds fortunes, the habits that build empires, and the character that builds a legacy. Because wealth isn't just a bank balance. It's a way of thinking, a way of living, and a way of leading. When I was young, I thought the secret to wealth was simply to work harder, to stay longer at the job, to earn a little more each year, and somehow, some way, I'd arrive at the life I dreamed about. But the truth I discovered, and it hit me like a hammer one day, is that your income will rarely exceed your personal development. If you're wondering why you aren't further along financially, the answer often isn't in your job, your boss, or even the economy. It's in you. Who you are determines what you attract. If you don't grow as a person, your wealth will have no foundation to grow on. Because here's the reality. Money doesn't change who you are. It magnifies who you are. If you're careless with $10, you'll be reckless with 10,000. If you're disciplined, respectful, and intentional with a small amount, those same qualities will blossom when the amount grows. I'll never forget the words of my mentor who asked me, "Are you becoming the kind of person who can handle the success you say you want?" That question burned into my mind because I realized at that time I wasn't. I wanted wealth, but I wasn't building the habits or the character to sustain it. I didn't respect my time. I didn't manage my small money. I didn't invest in learning. And the truth is, if the big money had shown up back then, I would have wasted it just like I wasted the little I had. That realization changed everything for me. The first thing I did wasn't to chase a bigger paycheck. It wasn't to demand more from the world. It was to demand more from myself. I started with 30 minutes a day. That's all I could manage at first, but it was sacred time. 30 minutes with a book that would challenge me, 30 minutes journaling my thoughts, my decisions, my mistakes, and what I learned, 30 minutes listening to something that sharpened my mind instead of dulling it. And those 30 minutes became the seed of an entirely new life. You see, when you dedicate time to growing yourself, you build a different kind of wealth before the money even shows up. You build self-respect. You build clarity. You build the ability to say no to things that don't matter and yes to the things that do. And here's the part most people miss. Your personal development doesn't just prepare you for wealth, it attracts it. Because people are drawn to someone who is growing, someone who is sharp, disciplined, and intentional. Opportunities find people like that. Think about it like this. Imagine you suddenly received $1 million tomorrow. The question isn't just what would you do with it? The real question is, would you be the kind of person who could keep it, grow it, and not lose yourself in the process? Most people aren't. And that's why sudden wealth destroys more lives than it helps. Lottery winners go broke. Young athletes squander fortunes. Why? Because their personal growth didn't match their financial growth. The money outgrew them. So here's the rule. Grow yourself before you grow your wealth. Make it non-negotiable to feed your mind every single day. Read for 30 minutes. Journal your thoughts, your plans, your mistakes. Learn something new about money, about people, about yourself. Because wealth isn't built on information alone, it's built on the kind of person you become by seeking that information. I started broke with nothing but a few books, a notebook, and a decision. And that decision to grow myself before I grew my wealth changed everything. Because when you become the kind of person who can handle abundance, abundance has a way of showing up. I used to think goals were everything. I'd write them down in big, bold letters, earn more money, get out of debt, start a business. I thought the act of writing them down would somehow make them happen. But here's what I learned. Goals set direction, but systems create results. A goal is like planting a flag on a mountaintop. It tells you where you want to go. But without a system, you're just staring at that flag, hoping you'll magically appear there one day. I'll tell you a story. Years ago, I set a goal to save $5,000. It was a big goal for me at the time, and I felt proud writing it down. But weeks passed, and nothing happened. Why? Because every time I got paid, I'd think, this time I'll set some aside. But there was always a bill, always an expense, always an excuse. The goal stayed on the page, but nothing in my life changed. Then my mentor gave me a piece of advice that changed everything. He said, don't just have a goal, build a system that makes the goal inevitable. So I set up an automatic transfer. Every week, $100 moved from my checking account into savings without me thinking about it. At first, it felt small. It felt like it wouldn't matter. But week after week, the account grew. And before long, that $5,000 goal stopped being a dream. It became the natural byproduct of a system. That's the secret. Goals inspire you, but systems change you. If you want to save money, automate it. If you want to get in shape, schedule the workouts and lay out your clothes the night before. If you want to build a business, block out daily hours for work that no one can interrupt. Systems turn good intentions into daily actions, and daily actions compound into results. Most people live in the land of goals. They say, this year, I'll get out of debt. But they don't create a system, like cutting one expense, like setting up an automatic debt payment that forces progress whether they're motivated or not. Because here's the truth, motivation fades, systems don't. When I finally understood this, I stopped asking, what's my goal? And started asking, what's my system? I realized you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So, take one goal you have right now, just one. Maybe it's saving $5,000. Maybe it's reading more books. Maybe it's starting a side business. And instead of just writing the goal, ask yourself, what small automatic action can I build into my life that makes this goal inevitable? If it's saving, maybe you set up a weekly auto transfer of $100. If it's reading, maybe you set a rule, 10 pages before bed every night. Because when you live by systems, you don't have to wake up every day and wonder if you're on track. You just are. Goals will give you direction, but systems will give you the destination. I used to think the answer to all money problems was simple. Earn more, work harder, get a raise, take another job. And yes, earning is important. It's the starting line. But here's what I discovered the hard way. Earning money isn't the same as building wealth. Too many people stop at earning, and that's where they stay for life. They make $1, they spend $1, or worse, they spend $1.50. The cycle never ends because they never learned the real art, the art of multiplying. I remember when I first started earning a decent income. For a kid who came from very little, that paycheck felt like a miracle. But something strange happened. No matter how much I made, it never seemed to be enough. Why? Because my money wasn't working, it was only arriving and leaving. Then one day, a mentor asked me a question that stopped me in my tracks. He said, does every dollar you earn have a job? I laughed and said, of course it does. It's all spent. But he shook his head. No, he said, spending isn't a job. A job is something that creates more. Your dollars should be like little employees, each one sent out to bring back friends. That's the difference between staying broke and becoming wealthy. Broke people spend every dollar on consumption. Wealthy people put their dollars to work. They buy assets, they invest in businesses. They reinvest profits. They send their money out like soldiers on a mission. And those soldiers come back, not alone, but with reinforcements. When I finally understood this, I started treating money differently. Instead of asking, what can I buy? I started asking, how can this dollar multiply? The answer was humbling. Sometimes it meant skipping a shiny purchase and putting that dollar into a book that taught me something new. Sometimes it meant starting a side hustle and reinvesting the profits back into it instead of celebrating too early. Sometimes it meant buying a small stock, not because it would make me rich overnight, but because it was a start, a seed planted. The key is not to wait for big money to start multiplying. People say, once I have extra, then I'll invest. But here's the truth. If you won't multiply $10, you won't multiply $10,000. Multiplying money is a mindset, not a milestone. So here's what I challenge you to do this month. Pick one way to multiply your money. Just one. Maybe it's buying your first stock, no matter how small. Maybe it's starting a side hustle and committing to reinvest the first $500 you make. Maybe it's lending your skills, writing a guide, creating something that sells over and over while you sleep. Because here's the harsh reality. If you don't learn to multiply money, you'll work for the rest of your life. But if you do, one day your money will work harder than you ever could. And that's when true freedom begins. I learned something early on that changed the entire way I saw the world. There are really only two types of people out there: consumers and builders. Consumers live for today. They wake up and ask, what can I buy? What can I enjoy right now? Builders, though, they ask a very different question. They ask, what can I build that will last? For years, I was a consumer. I didn't even realize it. Every time I made a little money, it was gone as quickly as it came in. A new jacket, a better car, dinners out, little luxuries that made me feel like I was moving up in the world. But I wasn't moving up. I was running in place. My life was full of things, but empty of progress. Then one day a mentor asked me, do you want to live in a house someone else built, or do you want to build one of your own? He wasn't just talking about a home, he meant a life. See, consumers focus on comfort, on instant gratification. Builders focus on creation, on planting seeds for the future. Consumers wake up each day to see what they can take from the world. Builders wake up to see what they can add to it. And the truth is, wealth doesn't come to consumers, it comes to builders. When I finally understood this, I began to shift my thinking. Instead of asking, what can I buy? I started asking, what can I build? And I don't just mean big businesses or skyscrapers. I mean anything of value. A service, a product, a course, a system, even an idea. When you create, you step into the role of builder, and builders write the rules of the game. Consumers pay the price. Builders set the price. I remember the first time I built something instead of just buying. It wasn't glamorous. It was a little workshop I put together to teach what I'd learned so far. The first time I got paid for something I created, something that didn't exist before I made it, it felt like a switch had flipped. I wasn't just spending anymore. I was building. And that's when I realized, the more you build, the less you'll ever need to buy, because your creations start to feed you, sustain you, and expand your world. So here's my challenge for you. Make a list of 3 things you can build. Maybe it's a product you've been thinking about. Maybe it's a small service, a skill you can offer. Maybe it's a system that makes your life and maybe other people's lives easier. Then pick one, just one, and commit to working on it this month. Because here's the truth. Consumers will always live for today. Builders create tomorrow. And if you want to stop just surviving and start shaping your future, you have to stop being just a consumer and start thinking like a builder. Selling isn't something people talk about enough when it comes to wealth, but the truth is, every wealthy person I've met has mastered this art. Not the pushy, manipulative kind of selling that gets a bad rap, but the kind that comes from a place of genuine belief and service. Selling is the ability to share your ideas, your vision, your value in a way that others can understand and appreciate. If you want to succeed financially, learning how to sell, whether it's a product, a service, or even yourself, is absolutely essential. When I first started, I thought selling was about convincing people to buy something they didn't really want or need. But I learned quickly that real selling is the opposite. It's about solving problems, meeting needs, and offering something valuable. The best salespeople aren't pushing a product, they're offering a solution. They sell with conviction because they believe deeply in what they have to offer. They're passionate about the value they bring. Think about it. If you want to build wealth, you have to be able to communicate your ideas and value clearly. That means developing the skill to explain why what you have matters. Whether you're pitching a business idea, negotiating a raise, or sharing your vision for a project, you are selling. It's part of leadership, and leadership is about influence. One practical step I recommend is this. Choose one thing you truly believe in. Maybe it's a product, an idea, or a cause. And every day, practice explaining its value to someone else. This doesn't have to be complicated or a full sales pitch. It can be a simple conversation where you share why it matters to you and why it could matter to others. Over time, you'll get better at communicating your vision clearly and confidently. I remember when I first started speaking and sharing ideas, it was scary because I wasn't sure if people would listen or be interested. But each time I shared my thoughts with sincerity, I found I was connecting, influencing, and ultimately helping people see value they hadn't seen before. That ability opened doors I never imagined. Selling is a skill that extends beyond business. It's about selling your dream, your worth, and your vision of what's possible. Master it, and you hold the key to wealth not just in dollars, but in influence and opportunity. And remember, selling well is not about trickery. It's about serving others with conviction and clarity. When you learn to do that, you learn to lead. And leadership is the foundation of lasting wealth. Too often, people work simply to earn a paycheck. They show up, do the minimum, collect their wages, and wait for the next payday. But if you want to break out of mediocrity and build real wealth, you have to change your mindset from working just to earn to working to learn. This is one of the most powerful shifts you can make. Jobs give you paychecks, sure, but lessons, those invaluable skills, experiences, and connections are what truly build your fortune over time. I've seen it countless times. The person who chases the highest immediate salary may end up stuck in a cycle of short-term thinking. Meanwhile, someone willing to take on roles or tasks that stretch their abilities, sometimes for less pay, opens doors to new opportunities, skills, and networks that multiply their value exponentially. It's a longer path, but a much more rewarding one. In my early days, I didn't always take the highest paying job. Instead, I sought roles that would teach me something new, whether it was public speaking, sales, or leadership. I remember taking on small tasks or projects that weren't glamorous or lucrative at first, but those experiences shaped me and prepared me for bigger opportunities. I wasn't focused on immediate financial gain. I was focused on becoming the kind of person who could create wealth. The practical step you can take right now is simple but profound. This month, say yes to one task, course, or role that stretches you. Don't think about the paycheck first. Instead, ask yourself, what skill will I develop? What lesson will I learn? How will this make me better tomorrow? End of comment. Maybe it's volunteering for a challenging project at work, signing up for a course that pushes your boundaries, or taking on a leadership role in a community group. Whatever it is, lean into the discomfort, because that's where growth happens. Remember, the richest people aren't always the ones who started with the most money. They are the ones who invested in themselves relentlessly. They understood that the real value lies in the lessons learned along the way, the skills developed, the mindset built, and the networks formed. Those are assets no one can take away from you. So shift your focus. Work to learn, not just to earn. Make every job, every role, every opportunity a stepping stone to a greater future. When you do that, you're not just building a paycheck, you're building a fortune, a legacy, and a life of true wealth. Wealth isn't born from a single grand decision. It is crafted quietly, patiently, and consistently through thousands of small choices made every day. Many people think that one big break, one lucky investment, or a sudden windfall will change their lives overnight. But the truth is far different. Real wealth grows from the compound effect of countless little decisions, each reflecting your character, discipline, and values. I've learned over the years that How you handle the smallest amounts of money often predicts how you'll manage the largest sums. If you are careless with a few dollars, it's no surprise when larger amounts slip through your fingers. It's like pouring water through a sieve. You don't notice the loss at first, but over time, the leak becomes a flood. Money magnifies who you are. If you lack respect for $5, you won't suddenly find respect for $50,000. The secret lies in treating every financial decision as if it truly matters, no matter how insignificant it seems. Integrity in small things builds confidence and discipline for bigger responsibilities. Every purchase, every bill paid on time, every saving, even the tiniest amount, represents a choice to build or destroy your future wealth. Here's a simple but powerful practice. For the next 30 days, track every expense, every single dollar outflow, no matter how small. Yes, even that $2 coffee or the spare change spent on snacks. Write it down, record it, own it. What you'll begin to see isn't just numbers. It's a mirror reflecting your mindset toward money. Are you acting out of impulse? Are you aligned with your financial goals or drifting without direction? This discipline is not about deprivation or guilt. It's about awareness and control. When you understand where your money goes, you regain power over it. And from power comes freedom. I remember starting this practice myself when money was tight. At first it was tedious, almost annoying, but slowly the small savings started adding up. I realized that the discipline I built tracking pennies helped me resist bigger impulsive buys. It wasn't just about saving money, it was about building habits that would prepare me to handle wealth when it came. So, treat your small decisions like they matter, because they do. Wealth isn't created overnight, but built one disciplined choice at a time. The road to abundance is paved by the faithful stewardship of the smallest resources. Let this be your foundation. Many people live their entire lives trading hours for dollars, thinking that steady wages are the path to financial security. But this mindset, while common, is also limiting. When you trade time directly for money, your income has a natural ceiling. There are only so many hours in a day, and your paycheck is often tied to that limit. The moment you stop working, the income stops as well. True wealth, however, comes from owning equity, assets that generate income independently of your direct effort. Ownership is freedom. When you own something that works for you while you sleep, vacation, or focus on other passions, you've crossed from being a worker to being a wealth builder. This shift in mindset, from earning wages to owning equity, is critical if you want to outgrow mediocrity and build lasting financial security. I remember early in my journey realizing that no matter how hard I worked or how many hours I put in, I was capped by the hours in my day. I asked myself, how can I make money work for me instead of me working for money? That question changed everything. I started small, investing in stocks, buying books on business, and exploring ways to create passive income streams. Over time, those small steps snowballed. It's important to begin somewhere. You don't need a fortune to start owning equity. A single stock, a tiny business idea, or even renting out a room can be your doorway. The key is action and consistency. If you wait for perfect conditions or a big sum of money, you may never start. Remember, the journey from wage earner to owner begins with a single step. Owning equity means your money is working harder than you are, creating wealth that grows and compounds over time. This is how fortunes are built, not by trading hours, but by making smart investments, building businesses, and holding assets that produce income on their own. So, if you want to break free from the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck, start thinking like an owner. Begin today by choosing one investment or business opportunity to pursue, however small. Over time, this mindset and action will shift your financial future from one of limitation to one of abundance and freedom. Time is the most precious resource we have. Unlike money, which can be earned back or lost and regained, time is completely non-renewable. Once a moment passes, it's gone forever. This simple truth separates those who remain stuck in mediocrity from those who build real wealth. If you spend your time carelessly, no amount of money will bring you lasting success or freedom. Most people think about trading hours for dollars. They clock in and clock out, believing that more hours worked means more money earned. But the wealthy think differently. They understand that trading ideas and value can free them from the shackles of time. Time becomes their raw material, the foundation on which they build lasting wealth. Instead of selling hours, they invest time to develop skills, create assets, and grow opportunities that eventually free them from the need to trade time for money. I've learned this the hard way. Early in my career, I treated time like a commodity to be sold hour by hour. I worked hard but felt trapped. The breakthrough came when I realized the true power of investing time into myself, learning new skills, studying business principles, and sharpening my mind. That investment paid dividends many times over. What was once a dead hour spent mindlessly watching television became an hour dedicated to personal growth and wealth building. Over time, those small daily shifts added up to something profound. Here's the practical part. Start tracking your daily hours. Identify one dead hour, time wasted without purpose, and reclaim it. Use that hour to learn a new skill, read about investing, or work on a project that creates value. This shift doesn't just increase your productivity, it changes your mindset. It moves you from being a consumer of time to a creator of opportunities. When you value time over money, you understand that every minute counts toward building your future. You'll become more intentional with your choices, more disciplined with your habits, and more focused on activities that grow your wealth and freedom. This isn't just about making more money. It's about creating a life where time works for you, not against you. So start today. Find that dead hour, reclaim it, and use it wisely. The wealth you seek is built one moment at a time. Make every moment count. Most people don't stay broke because they lack effort or desire. They stay broke because they don't understand the language money speaks. Money has its own rules, its own system. And if you don't learn those rules, you're destined to be a stranger in your own financial house. It's like trying to navigate a foreign country without knowing the language. You might get by, but you'll never truly thrive. This financial illiteracy is one of the greatest traps. People work hard, earn money, but without understanding how taxes work, how interest compounds, or how debt can be both a tool and a trap, their efforts fall short. It's not laziness, it's simply ignorance. But the good news is this: financial knowledge is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and mastered. When I first began my journey, I realized quickly that the schools didn't teach me how money really works. They didn't teach me how compound interest grows wealth or how taxes can take more than their fair share if you don't plan properly. So I made a decision to become a lifelong student of money. Every month I focused on one topic. Sometimes it was understanding how credit works, other times it was investing basics or tax strategies. I read books, asked mentors questions, and applied what I learned. By learning the language of money, you transform from a passive participant to an active player. You start seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. You understand that debt isn't inherently bad, but undisciplined debt is deadly. You recognize that compounding isn't just a concept, it's the engine of wealth. Taxes aren't just a burden, they're a factor to be managed strategically. The practical step is simple. Commit to mastering one financial topic per month. Dedicate time each day to reading, watching, or listening to resources that explain these ideas clearly. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to seek help or admit what you don't know. Financial literacy is your secret weapon. When you speak money's language, you gain control. You make smarter decisions. You avoid costly mistakes. And above all, you build a foundation for lasting wealth. This knowledge will never leave you. It compounds just like money does, growing, multiplying, and leading you to greater freedom. The choice is yours. Remain a stranger to money's language, or become fluent and take command of your financial future. Wealthy people understand a truth that most overlook. Delayed gratification isn't about sacrifice or misery. It's about strategy. It's a choice to trade a small amount of comfort today for the freedom to live life on your own terms tomorrow. This mindset separates those who build lasting wealth from those who chase fleeting pleasures and end up trapped in a cycle of want and regret. Early in my life, I learned that instant gratification is the enemy of financial independence. When I was young, I struggled with the temptation to spend what little I had on immediate desires, a new shirt, a night out, a fancy coffee. It felt good in the moment, but I quickly realized those little indulgences added up, and what I really wanted was control over my life, not temporary satisfaction. The wealthy don't deny themselves happiness. They just understand that true happiness and security come from discipline. They know that each dollar spent impulsively is a dollar not invested, not saved, not building towards something greater. They build a future so rich and fulfilling that there's no need to escape it with momentary distractions. The practical step here is deceptively simple but powerful. Implement a 30-day rule for any non-essential purchase. When the urge to buy something outside your necessities hits, don't give in immediately. Write it down, mark the date, and wait 30 days. More often than not, you'll find the desire has faded, or you'll realize it wasn't as important as you thought. This waiting period does more than just save money. It rewires your brain. It trains you to question impulses, to differentiate between wants and needs, and to build patience. Over time, that patience compounds into freedom, a freedom where you control your spending, not the other way around. Remember, wealth isn't built on luck or sudden windfalls. It's built on consistent choices to delay small comforts for greater rewards. So, embrace the strategy of delayed gratification. Not as a punishment, but as a path to the life you truly want. The choice to wait is the choice to win. Wealth is often mistaken for just a personal dream, something you chase for yourself, your comfort, your security. But true financial success transcends that narrow view. Wealth is not just a goal, it is a responsibility. It is the example you set, the freedom you create, not only for yourself, but for those who come after you. It becomes your legacy, the foundation upon which future generations build their lives. In my journey, I realized early on that money is far more than currency. It is influence and opportunity. When I first started, I focused mainly on earning enough to get by, to live comfortably. But as I grew, I understood that the power of wealth lies in what it enables beyond personal luxury. It's about providing security for your family, opening doors for others, and contributing to something bigger than yourself. This shift in mindset from wealth as a selfish dream to wealth as a noble responsibility is what separates those who truly succeed from those who simply accumulate possessions. When you take on the duty of financial stewardship, your focus sharpens. You begin to think about how your decisions impact your children, your community, and your world. It's no longer just about you. It's about being a beacon of discipline, generosity, and independence. The practical step is clear and powerful. Take a moment to write down one financial value you want to pass on. Is it discipline? The ability to manage money wisely and with self-control? Is it generosity? Using your resources to uplift others and give back? Or is it independence? The freedom to live life on your own terms without financial fear. Choose the value that resonates most deeply with your vision for your legacy. But don't stop there. Start living that value today. If you chose discipline, begin by tracking your spending honestly and making conscious choices. If generosity speaks to you, find a cause or person to support regularly. If independence is your goal, Invest in education and assets that build your freedom. This responsibility mindset transforms wealth from a mere number in your bank account into a lifelong mission. It changes how you spend, save, invest, and give. Wealth becomes not just your dream, but your duty, a powerful force to inspire and uplift others long after you're gone. When you embrace this, your financial journey takes on a deeper meaning, and your success becomes a light for many, and that is real wealth. Wealth is often misunderstood as the amount of money you accumulate, but real wealth is measured by what you give back, not just what you take in. Those who truly build lasting financial success are not just consumers, they are contributors. They understand that the flow of wealth is like a river. It grows by feeding others before it fills their own cup. This is a fundamental shift in mindset, one that separates the wealthy from the mediocre. I have seen this truth in my own life and in the lives of countless successful people. Early on, I focused on earning and spending, caught in the cycle of consumption like many others. But as I grew, I noticed that those who made the greatest impact and built enduring wealth were those who thought first about contribution. They gave their time, their knowledge, and their resources before expecting returns. This generosity created goodwill, opportunities, and ultimately wealth that multiplied far beyond what money alone could achieve. The philosophy here is clear. Wealth flows toward those who add value to the world. When you shift your mindset from what can I get to what can I give, you unlock a powerful energy that attracts abundance. This is not about reckless giving or charity without strategy. It is about making contribution a deliberate part of your financial plan. It's the difference between generosity as an afterthought and generosity as a core principle. Now, how do you put this into practice? Start simple. Pick one way to contribute this month. It could be a donation to a cause that matters to you, offering mentorship to someone who needs guidance, or a small act of service in your community or workplace. The key is to make this contribution non-negotiable, something you commit to no matter what. This action sets a pattern of generosity that ripples through your life. It opens doors you didn't expect, builds relationships based on trust and respect, and invites opportunities that align with your values. Contribution is not just good for others, it's essential for your financial growth. When you make contribution your habit, you begin to see wealth not just as a destination, but as a cycle of giving and receiving where your success helps others succeed. That is the kind of wealth that lasts and the kind of life worth living. Remember, think contribution before consumption and watch how your wealth grows in ways you never imagined. As we reach the close of our time together, I want you to pause for a moment and reflect on what this journey toward true wealth really means. Wealth isn't just a number in your bank account or a title you carry. It's a reflection of your character, your discipline, and your mindset. It's the natural result of the person you become when you commit to growing every day. If you want to outgrow mediocrity and build real wealth, understand this: it begins inside you, long before it shows up outside. Many people chase money, thinking it will fix their problems, bring happiness, or grant freedom. But money by itself is just a tool. What really matters is how you think about it, how you manage it, and how you use it to serve a greater purpose. True wealth is not something that happens by chance or luck. It is created on the foundation of consistent habits, deliberate choices, and an unshakable mindset focused on growth and contribution. You've heard it before, your income will rarely exceed your personal development. This isn't just a catchy phrase, it's a fundamental truth. The person you are today determines the wealth you will attract tomorrow. If you want to earn more, you must grow more. If you want to handle wealth responsibly, you must first build your character. This means dedicating time each day to sharpen your mind, learn new skills, and deepen your understanding of money and life. We talked about building systems, not just goals. Goals give you direction, but systems turn those goals into reality. It's not enough to say, I want to save $5,000. You must create a system where money moves automatically into savings without you having to think about it. It's the daily habits, the consistent actions taken day after day, that compound into wealth. Just like planting seeds and tending to them patiently, your financial systems need care and consistency. Making money is just the first step. Real wealth is created when you learn to multiply that money, putting every dollar to work so it can bring back friends. Whether through investments, a side business, or reinvesting profits, the secret is to never let your money sit idle. Wealthy people understand this deeply. Money must be employed strategically, or it simply loses value. We also explored the importance of thinking like a builder, not a consumer. The consumer lives for today, spending on wants and desires that fade quickly. The builder focuses on tomorrow, creating products, services, or systems that generate ongoing value. What can you create this month? It might be a simple idea, a new skill, or a small business. But commit to building something and watch how it changes your mindset from scarcity to abundance. The journey toward wealth requires you to learn how to sell not just products, but your ideas, your value, and ultimately, yourself. Selling is not manipulation, it's communicating with passion and serving others through your vision. If you believe deeply in what you offer, practice explaining its value daily, and you will gain confidence and influence. Working simply to earn a paycheck won't make you wealthy. Instead, work to learn, to grow your skills, expand your knowledge, and increase your value. The best investment you can make is in yourself. Say yes to challenges that stretch you, even if they don't pay much at first. These lessons pay dividends for a lifetime. It's also vital to treat small decisions with care. Wealth isn't built by one big windfall, but by thousands of small, smart choices. Every expense, every saving decision, every investment adds up. Track your spending, practice discipline, and hold yourself accountable. This kind of integrity in small things translates into larger financial freedom. Shifting from earning wages to owning equity is one of the most powerful mindset changes you can make. Wages feed you for today, but ownership feeds you for life. Whether it's stocks, a business, or rental properties, owning a piece of something that generates income while you sleep is the key to financial independence. Time is your most valuable asset, more valuable than money. You can always earn more money, but you cannot get more time. Spend your hours wisely. Eliminate distractions, focus on learning, and use your time to build wealth-building skills. This shift alone will transform your life more than any increase in income. And perhaps most importantly, learn the language of money. Many stay broke not because they lack effort, but because they lack knowledge. Taxes, compounding, debt, investments, they all follow rules. Master these rules. Pick one financial topic each month and become an expert. The more fluent you become in money's language, the more confident and powerful you will feel in managing it. Lastly, remember to delay gratification without feeling deprived. Wealthy people aren't miserable. They are strategic. They trade a little comfort today for a lifetime of freedom tomorrow. Make it a rule to wait 30 days before any non-essential purchase. You'll be surprised how often the desire disappears and how much more powerful you become when you control your impulses.